how does that play out in a real clinical setting? Because that's ultimately what we have to show and what we have to prove, right? We know that that's a good thing, but how does it translate to a clinical event? Okay, here's a paper that was done on polysaccharides and their ability to inhibit influenza A virus. That's called the flu, right? The flu kills 50,000 people a year in this country. And viral infections have become an issue, right? In the world we live in today. Here's the neat thing about the human immune system. It doesn't matter what the virus is. It doesn't matter what mutation, what iteration. The virus is detected by the macrophage, which orchestrates defense. So it really doesn't matter which one, but they're in this study looking at the flu virus. Next. So the first thing they look at is, does the intervention of ACE-mannan inhibit the growth of the virus? So allopolysaccharides reduce viral absorption to an infection of host cells. So viruses enter the body, they got to get inside of one of your cells to live, to multiply. That's called a host cell. So the intervention of ACE-mannan inhibits that capability. Next. Allopolysaccharides largely alleviated clinical symptoms and the infection and significantly reduced pulmonary lesions. Okay, so reducing the viral load, what does that do in terms of the infection itself? Well, it reduces it. And it significantly reduces pulmonary lesions, which is the worst case scenario, for a respiratory virus. That's when you know you're in big trouble and you're in the hospital and you're on a respirator and things are going really bad. So, reducing that is significant. Next, they looked at, okay, if we can do all that, can we reduce the mortality rate of a viral infection through ACE-mannan intervention? How do you measure that? Well, the top red line is just a group of healthy mice. They don't have any intervention, no infection. 7 days later, they look exactly the same. The black line that goes straight down is another group of mice that was infected with a lethal dose of influenza virus. In other words, a dose so high that there's no way the mice can survive. Half of them die the first day, the rest of them by the third day, right? It's expected. Then they take another group of mice and give them the exact same lethal dose, only this time they give them 20 milligrams of ACE-mannan. What happened? 55% of them survived a lethal dose of viral infection. And to see if there's a dose response, they gave the next group the exact same amount of lethal dose, only doubled the amount of ACE-mannan, 40 milligrams a day. This time, the survival rate went up over 70%. And what that showed everybody is that for efficacy in allowing your body to defend against any kind of viral infection, this is an important technology to consider. Okay, that's pathogens. Next, what about degenerative processes like cancer? Big issue. This is an article that was published in the medical journal In Vivo. And they had 240 metastatic tumor patients, and they said half of them are in one group, half of them are in the other. We're going to give them both chemotherapy, right? But this group, we're going to give chemotherapy and ACE-mannan and see if we see any kind of difference in the pathology of these two groups. The first thing they looked at is lymphocyte amounts. Those are T cells, B cells, natural killer cells that are essential for killing and attacking the cancer. So the first bar graph, the white, is before the treatment of chemotherapy, and then the dark bar is after. And as you can see in the first bar graph, all of a sudden the lymphocyte count starts dropping pretty dramatically with the intervention of chemotherapy. That's to be expected. Chemotherapy is extremely toxic, which suppresses your normal functions of immunology. Then the next bar graph, they start again with the baseline. People, they look at their lymphocytes, another group, 120 of these 240 patients. And then they gave them chemotherapy with ACE-mannan, and look what happened to their lymphocytes. They actually increased. So not only were they taking chemotherapy, but they were increasing their body's ability to recognize and kill cancer cells. Okay, how does that translate into long-term effects? Next. So now they look at survival rates. in over 18 months and 3 years, the group that got the chemo with the acemannan had a 3 times greater survival rate than the group that just got chemotherapy by itself. So again, clinical proof that acemannan makes a huge difference in your body's ability to deal with chronically ill, diseased cells. Next.